Ladies and gentlemen, today we're going to be talking about the 10 most important teams that every player in Galaxy of Heroes needs to have. This is an update to a video, or a different version to a video I put out about a year ago, and a lot of things have changed since then in the game. My experiences have changed since I made a new account. I've been much more able to see the game through the lens of a newer player, and I'm just kind of changing my criteria for what these top 10 most important teams are. Now, most of the teams are the same, but I'm removing a few and adding a few, trying to stay away from extremely difficult acquisitions like conquest units and legendaries that take a ton to unlock, or special unlock units that you're not going to be able to rush at your own volition. I am not completely excluding Galactic Legends from this because there are a couple that I'm going to recommend at the end, but I thought it was time to update this video or give a different top 10. So hope you enjoy, hope you learned something, and for experienced players that don't really need the help of this, I hope you can shed some light and agree or disagree on this list as well. So let's get into it. And before I get into the actual list, I wanted to just go ahead and showcase who is actually out from the last time I did this list, and I'll try to explain the reasoning. So these are the 4 teams I removed from the list that I had last year. Padme team generally, 501st, General Skywalker, a Darth Revan team, and I didn't even focus on Malik last time, and Reva. So Reva is the hardest one that I think probably has the biggest argument to stay in the list. The reason I took her out is she is completely inaccessible to most players that might be trying to use this video for help, because she requires an entire guild or a lot of members in a guild to have a really Chirotech and resource intensive team to unlock. And the Inquisitors without her are pretty lackluster, not really fitting the category. So Reva is just mostly inaccessible, but she's really important with, or Inquisitors in general, are really important with their specialized assault battle, how good they are against Galactic Legends or Rise of the Empire territorial battle. So much stuff. Amazing Conquest 2. So good. Darth Revan, I think it just feels like not as important when you don't have Malgus on the team, since that is a Conquest unit, and kind of knocking it off because Conquest units are relatively inaccessible to most of the player base. Gas 501st took off just because for the difficulty of getting them, I don't know. It's just a lot to unlock, and I don't think he's crucial. The team is crucial to anything. You can't use 501st or Galactic Republic in any specific assault battles. And while they are great in PvP, like they can, kind of take out Rey here and there, I just didn't think they merited enough to tip the scales. And Padme. So Padme, this is something that I changed my mind on after starting a new account, because I unlocked Padme and I just feel myself not wanting to put the investment into her. There's other teams you can use with all the same characters, and what really made me want Padme as one of the top 10 most important teams was a Conquest unit. So Commander Ahsoka Tano is one of the first Conquest units that ever came out, but still is just as inaccessible today as she was 3 years ago after her Conquest had concluded, and an extra one had passed after that. And without it, it's just kind of another so-so team, and it's not getting you into any special assault battles, any special content, so they are out as well. Still a great team. All these are great teams. This is not the top 10 teams in Galaxy of Heroes. This is just top 10 most important that everyone should get. So these are the 4 I am removing from the list. Now to begin, this list is not in any particular order overall, but I did want to highlight the Phoenix first, because this is the quintessential beginner masterpiece of a team. They are all very easily accessible. They are strong. Captain Rex is a bona fide top 20 character in the game without being a journey guide character. Just farmable on an early light side node or dark side, I don't know. But it's really easy to get. This team is your ticket through the beginning game. Galactic War, easy conquest, normal conquest, Cantina nodes, light side nodes, squad arena, everything. This team can do it all. And I want to answer a question I get all the time about what I recommend between Sabine and Zeb. For players that are newer, you want Zeb. I think Zeb is the way to go for PvE content, so finishing assault battles, military might, as well as secrets and shadows. You can get it done, and I, on my free-to-play account, got both those done without any Gear 13s on them. Extremely strong. Zeb adds stuns on his basic. Daze all the time, and since everyone's assisting, it's always going to be a daze or a stun in most cases. He gives extra protection to the team, protection recovery, so he's good in Grand Arena. This team just has it all. You don't need tons of Zetas on the team. I think you only really need Captain Rex's Zeta as a newer player. Chopper doesn't have any Zetas. Zeb doesn't have any Zetas. The only time you really want Sabine is for a late game player. She's better for a turn meter train and controlling the other team's turn meter. So if you want the other team to basically never take turns, she's the only way to go for that. Otherwise, early, mid game, I think Zeb is fantastic, especially for PvE content. So this team really has come a long way just from the addition of Captain Rex last year. It was already very apparent to me, even without playing as a beginner player. This year, starting a new account, I just cannot stress enough the importance of this team. Definitely a top 10 most important team in the game. Next team we're covering is another early game mainstay. This is Imperial Troopers, more specifically the General Veer's Imperial Troopers. This was on the list last year. The main thing for them is they are capable of 2 assault battles going all the way through up to Challenge Tier 3. They have a perfect turn meter loop you can get going, so that the enemy can never take turns, except occasionally, Han Solo ruins the chain a little bit. In the end game, they're not as important to me right now on my main almost 12.5 million GP account, just because everything is mostly has built-in turn meter train immunity. But this team does a lot of damage early. If you choose to start with them instead of Phoenix, you're gonna get by for the most part. But the assault battles are the huge thing. I think Range and Stark are probably the best complements. I don't have Moff Gideon there because he needs a lot of Chirotechs. But even though Dark Trooper and Admiral Piet need Chirotechs before Gear 12, they're absolutely indispensable. Dark Trooper with the tons of damage. Well, actually, you can get it done with that Dark Trooper, but the tons of damage make it a lot easier. Piet has the actual Terminator train. You only need a couple Zetas. You only really need Piet Zeta, and then Veer's Zeta really helps out a ton. Range Trooper doesn't even have a Zeta. Stark, very easily farmable. In the raid store, extremely easy to farm. And then Range Trooper, it takes a little bit of time, but very cheap. I don't have Iron Troopers because while they are strong, they're great in GAC, they are not going to be running the table on assault battles for you. So the value that I'm thinking of here in assault battles, if you're a player that's been playing a significant amount of time and there are any assault battle challenge tier 1s they haven't completed, you should probably just go and try to take care of that before you move on to any big farms, because that is going to accelerate all your other farms with Chirotechs, Zetas, finisher materials, just amazing. And then challenge tier 2 and 3, even better. Extra signal data, just awesome value. So that is the main thing for Imperial Troopers. They're awesome early game too, and they're pretty good for a lot of punching up counters if you can make it work with fast enough mods on Piet. So Imperial Troopers are our second team. Next team I'm talking about is a fairly broad concept with a lot of variations, but similar to last year when I covered this, a Palpatine team. I still think a Palpatine team is extremely important, one of the most important teams of the game, early and late, and it transforms over time. So early in the game, Palpatine and Vader are always tied together. Later in the game, you want to have Mara Jade with Palpatine and then Starkiller in there. You can also have Thrawn early game. Tons of flexibility with the team because it works so well with any Sith and any Empire characters, and the more debuffs the better. So here I am highlighting Bastila Shan Fallen and Nihilus. Since I took off the Darth Revan team from consideration, I am moving Bastila into this team, mainly because I recently beat Challenge Tier 2 Places of Power with a fairly low geared, low investment Sith team on my GoTanks account, which just reaffirms my thought that Palpatine is extremely important. I was also able to get done with the Forest Moon Challenge Tier 1 assault battle with the team, and I might go even higher without Imperial Troopers, so it just depends. So this is another 2 assault battle team that is extremely valuable. The only real others are Phoenix and Imperial Troopers. They can each get 2 assault battles done, but Palpatine and Vader are good for 2 different ones as well with different team members. The leader ability, this was my first Zeta I ever applied in the game ever. And then on my new account, even after years of experience, it was like the second Zeta I applied. Extremely important. Nihilus, I mean, he works amazing with Traya, and that's where he normally goes. But he, for PvP instances, I'm not kidding. It's so flexible. Put in Thrawn, fracture someone, take them out of commission. Mara Jade, if you have her, she should always go with Emperor Palpatine. Just incredible. Should be attached at the hip. And that's all battle. I used Savage Press. That was just kind of shoving him in there. It didn't really fit well. But Bachelor Sean Fallen, I think people overlook her potential somewhat on Palpatine, under Palpatine, because of the prominence with Darth Revan, so much built in the kit, and that team is really popular. But Fear is just an incredible add to the Palpatine team. Gets so many debuffs out there. Gives her, she's not getting a turn meter from that directly, but when the debuffs expire, so much turn meter for the team. She's getting Stagger out there, which is going to be popped and give turn meter right away before waiting for them to cleanse. Just really strong. The assault battles really push it over the edge for me. And like I said earlier, if you add Star Killer to the team, it becomes a great Galactic Legend counter. You have to have it structured right. Great Galactic Legend counter, so it's still viable in the end game. So Palpatine and a Star Killer, however you want to look at it, extremely important. Top 10 most important team. And next up, we have Commander Luke Skywalker. So Commander Luke Skywalker is, on my main account, I don't use him quite as much, but I think he's incredibly important for every player to have in this game. And the one single big reason I think that is because of Conquest. So Conquest, this is one of the all-time best teams in the game for Conquest because it has perfect initiative. Han Solo always goes first, doesn't matter how jacked up the enemy speed is, goes first with the right data disc combinations. You can roll over tons of teams, even down to extremely low stamina if you have like a turn meter train going, Amplify Agony combo, whatever it is. In this team specifically, if you have both Chewbacca's, C-3PO is probably the best, but you could sub in someone else for him. R2-D2, Droid, Captain Rex, anybody as a rebel works super well with CLS. That can carry people through hard conquest. So this has been already impactful on my small account in normal conquest. Even though I don't have a big roster, I anticipate once I get to 4 million GP, can do hard conquest. They are going to be extremely instrumental in just clearing the table. So people get bogged down in conquest and the feats, and the feats are important, but you can get extremely far without getting tons of different feats. You can get probably second or third box from the last one just by clearing the entire board and getting 3 stars on as many nodes as you can. And this team is incredible for that. Great initiative with turn meter naturally. The initiative, extra damage with Chewbacca, the healing. It is just a strong team to start going and keep going. And then also outside of Conquest, they can do well in Military Might Assault Battle if your Phoenix isn't doing that already for you. Challenge Tier 3, I think they're the necessary ones for that. So even if you have great Phoenix, this team's going to be better for Challenge Tier 3 of Military Might. And Green Arena, they're going to be extremely valuable. Shooting first is almost a guaranteed banner steal on defense, and on offense, you can take care of a lot of tough situations that you couldn't otherwise. Heck, even Han and Chewie without the rest of the team are extremely valuable combinations. So Commander Luke Skywalker is still extremely relevant, still a team that every player should get. Now at this point, people who watched my video last year might be starting to wonder, is anything actually different in this list or anything new? And yes, it is. So this is Bad Batch, the first brand new team that I've added to the list compared to last year. And you might notice that 5s is not Bad Batch. So I am mainly focused on these 4. And even more specifically, these 3, if you'll boil it down. And it is all about fleets. So on the new account, one of my main cornerstones of my farming plan was get Bad Batch for the Marauder for use in the Galactic Republic fleet. Because Fleet Arena is extremely important. And that theory was entirely correct. I stand by 100%. Even though these guys require Kyrotex, these 3, it is worth giving some to them, even in a brand new account. Even though that you are not farming Lord Vader, forget it. Just forget about Lord Vader. You don't need to go for Lord Vader if you're getting Bad Batch. These 3, get them to even Gear 12. I am able to beat Profundities, Executors. I see no Leviathans in my Young Fleet chart, but if they did, I would be able to beat them once in a while. So I'm able to get number 1 with a completely free fleet. I'm the only one that didn't buy a Negotiator in my top 50, or doesn't have Executor or Profundity. And they do extremely well. That ship is so busted, it's insane. even if you don't have Negotiator, even if you're not in a great guild where you can get a bunch of get Negotiator, with just plain old milquetoast starter fleet Mace Windu, you can still do a ton because it has tons of synergy with clone ships. And that also goes to why I put 5s here in the 5th slot. So if you're like a newer player and you don't have a ton of infrastructure, farm 5s. You don't need to farm the 5 first. Get him for his ship. It's a great supporting ship to the fleet. Does a lot of damage, great survivability. But, I mean, a better add-on to the team just in general. I just didn't put Omega here. You could have Shakti. Shakti is a great support for clones. Omega, she's only good in 5v5, is not an option 3v3. She doesn't even have the Galactic Republic tag, so that's why I don't use her. Aside from ships, they are still really good in Grand Arena. Echo's one of the speed demons in the game. You get out first with initiative, you can take down a lot of stuff with very clean banners. So that is a very valuable asset for any player in Grand Arena, but still the main thing is fleets. So farm Bad Batch, if for no other reason than to get Marauder with these 3, but still get Echo. He's awesome. All right, and that's it for this first new team on the list. Next up, and another repeat from last year, is a Jedi team, specifically a Jedi Knight Revan lead or Jedi Knight Luke Skywalker lead. If you want to go deep in challenge tier of Ground War, you need Jedi Knight Luke Skywalker lead. Otherwise, Jedi Knight Revan's pretty good. You can get challenge tier done without Jedi Knight Luke, but he makes it extremely easy. He's extremely good in Rise of the Empire territory battle. Light Side Geonosis territory battle, if anyone still does that. Who's still really running that? Just a really strong team. I mean, Revan is amazing in Conquest for my little account, normal Conquest. He's a very accessible legendary character. One of the few really strong modern characters with really complex kits that doesn't require a huge amount of investment after 7 stars. I got him unlocked really low gear for his team, so really accessible. Jedi Knight Luke is a lot steeper, kind of similar to like a General Skywalker unlock. Not quite as bad, but up there. But just does tons of damage. AoE irresistible stun, amazing. Jolie is just awesome for those territory battles, just not territory battles, assault battles, as a backup for reviving. Master's Training from Hoda is really strong. If you don't have Jedi Knight Luke Skywalker, Yoda is going to be your workhorse for damage, and then Bastille fits really well into the team too. But since that Ground War assault battle is basically Jedi, or I forget even the other qualifying unit, it might have just be like Ugnaught or something. But you need a great Jedi team to get that done, to check all the boxes on those assault battles. So make sure you get a Jedi team. And don't worry about Galactic Republic Jedi. I will cover them soon in another team. So go out there, get your Jedi Knight Revan, get your Jedi Knight Luke. And actually, one closing note. So Jedi Knight Cal Kestis is also very important. He's very important for players that want to get into an endgame guild, because he's needed to unlock Zepho. Well, you're going to do it with his baby version, but he's really important. He's just a flexible Jedi, though, so he's not mandatory in any of these comps. But he has that insta-kill, has a lot of great supporting unit qualities. So even if you don't have like Jedi Master Luke or a specific Jedi team, he fits well into any team. So he's awesome. Don't want to understate his relevance, his importance, and he's a pretty easy unlock too. So I just want to have him as an add-on, option to that Jedi team. Super important as well. And now we're coming around to our 7th team, and another new team to this list that I didn't have last year is a Traya squad. So the reason I didn't include it last year is because it's mainly focused on Grand Arena. The reason I'm adding it this year, and this may or may not be a mistake, I have heard they're strong in Proving Grounds. I don't know how strong they are. I have no experience in Proving Grounds whatsoever. Eventually, I will be able to confirm that or not if they have widespread use. But even if they aren't, I can see how they would be with an insta-kill from Nihilus, extremely valuable. In Grand Arena, this is like the most accessible endgame team there is. Really easy farms for Savage, direct farms for Scion and Nihilus. Not too hard for Talon. Talon's kind of like the red-headed stepchild of this team, but she still is a great add-on, giving turn meter, extra health, extra speed, really strong. Traya's Omicron is awesome. You don't have to run her lead. You could run Savage lead if you want a little bit extra defense. I don't know. I think Trey is still better. But just incredible team in Grand Arena, and I will have to test those claims about Proving Grounds later. But this is still really important team. I still would advise every single player that plays this game to get this team up and running at some point. With Sion being the one you could probably sub out for someone else. Just depends on what you have available. If you don't have a Darth Revan team, Master Sean Fawn would be great as well. Sith Trooper, Sith Empire Trooper, another tank. Sion's probably the most expendable here, but definitely get a trade team. And moving on, we have yet another new team to the list, Qui-Gon Jinn. This is where some of those Padme Amidala holdovers came to, and this is even more limited. I know this is basically a Grand Arena only team, but I think Grand Arena is one of the most important game modes in the game, other than like Fleet Arena and Assault Battles. Probably it becomes more and more important compared to Assault Battles the further on you go, but it is extremely valuable. As a beginner player, you just pick up Qui-Gon, don't even have to throw too much gear, get him the Omicron. Have an Anakin that's awesome for Fleet, so this is kind of like Grand Arena plus Fleet. So Anakin, General Kenobi, Ahsoka, and then Mace if you don't have the Negotiator are extremely important in your fleet. Galactic Republic fleet is the best fleet you can get that without going through Galactic Legend level investment to get. It's just guild farming. Mace Windu, it's just time and having light side chips. And I don't have, for example, this is a flexible team. Endgame players have Ki-Adi-Mundi. And until recently, he's been completely inaccessible to most players because you need a whole guild that has a Relic General Skywalker team doing light side Geonosis territory battle, which no one did. But now you can buy him. So if anyone has $20 to blow on one character, you can get Ki-Adi-Mundi. But I probably wouldn't do that myself, as I have not, and I have the opportunity to do it. I just don't. It's very flexible. Shock Team Mace Windu, the last slot, really flexible. But I think if you don't get a Padme team up and running, General Kenobi and Ahsoka are probably the best add-ons for this team. Kind of an honorable mention is these two. I can't put them in their own squad because Queen Amidala is a new Conquest character, completely inaccessible to any player who wasn't massive at the time she came out or doesn't want to blow a ton of money. But these two have their own assault battle. If you do get them running, you could throw them on a Qui-Gon Jinn team. I don't know how well it would do, but Anakin's still going to kick butt anyway. And they have their own assault battle just for these two, so extremely valuable there. So Qui-Gon, with a lot of caveats, I definitely think is worth it. He has saved me so many times in Grand Arena. On my little account, just beating, it's my best team in Grand Arena. It's the easiest acquisition team because it's basically just Anakin, Qui-Gon. You could have anyone else, like Qui-Gon just dies, Anakin kills the whole of the team. Enough said. So that is it for our non-Galactic Legend teams. The next two will be Galactic Legends. And this one is probably the highest value team in the whole game, as long as they're including Galactic Legends, Jabba the Hutt. And I also want to take a second to note the absence of bounty hunters otherwise from the list. So I still think bounty hunters are really important, like having a Bosk team with Grief and Mando, maybe Fennec in there. I had that last year in my top 10 list. It is very important. However, you can get their assault battle done without bounty hunters. You do it with Imperial Troopers, and that leaves bounty hunters for a bunch of various events like Galactic Bounties, Smuggler's Run, Credit Heist, but those are all extremely easy to do. You don't need much investment at all. You don't need a ton. Boss for Houndstooth is still really important. You can get all those things done very easily, and you don't need them for an assault battle. So that team is out. I just wanted to note it. Bounty hunters are important, but you don't have to put much investment into them. Now, Hutt Cartel, Jabba, along with a mix of bounty hunters and scoundrels, is in my Galactic Legend ranking. I had him coming in at number 3, but he is extremely high value because, if for no other reason than his Smuggler's Run 2 event, he's going to supercharge mod farming. It happens like twice a month. You get a couple free slices going to 6-dot mods and lots of slicing materials for after that. It is extremely valuable. This team can beat almost every other Galactic Legend. It has trouble with like Lord Vader and Leia, and that's pretty much it. But with the next team I'm going to mention, you should have all your bases covered. They don't need conquest units. Once you farm Jabba to have him ready, you pretty much have the team in place. I don't think, I don't know if Embo is going to be in there. I've drawn a blank, but if no one else, you can put in just Boba Fett or something. You can put in something. This team, this is the core four to it. Really strong. They are awesome. Not only in Grand Arena, but in Rise of the Empire Territory Battle, they are probably the most valuable team out there because they have a dedicated node, every single planet right up the middle. There's no other character that has that much dedication in the Territory Battle, and they're going to kick butt for you in every area. Conquest, Territory War. Galactic Challenges. I haven't mentioned Galactic Challenges yet, but having one Transcendent team, like one great Galactic Legend team to just bludgeon your way through the top tier of any Galactic Challenge, whether it is for that faction or not, is extremely valuable. Having at least one that can blow through and get you closer to getting 2 Omicrons is really valuable, because the most important thing in a Galactic Challenge is, kind of like Conquest, is just finishing it. Not getting every feat, but if you just complete the battle, you'll get a lot of the way there. That's the most valuable feat to get. So Hut Cartel, Jabba, probably most valuable Galactic Legend. Doesn't mean he's the very first you'll farm, but in terms of value to obtain, I think he's probably the best. And now for the final team, last but not least, is a Leia Organa team. So second Galactic Legend, if you only can get 2 Galactic Legends, it's going to be these two. She doesn't have as valuable of an extra event as Jabba, but she has a tier 3 to indoor escalation. You get some extra mats and Omicrons, extra relic materials, what I mean. And I only have the 3 shown here because they are extremely flexible, with these 3 being the core, and you can add almost any other combination to think of. So I do Admiral Ras and Jyn Erso a lot. That's on my main account. I'm going to go for this Galactic Legend first. I think she's probably the easiest. I don't need Giant Knight Luke like I do to unlock Jabba. There's a lot of overlap between the two, so it's awesome. You could run Han and Chewie. Pretty expensive breaking up your CLS team. You could run Mon Mothma and Old Ben. You could have Captain Rex in there. If you're just going for one-off, like putting in a squad arena team, or trying to do like a Galactic Challenge, or go through a Conquest or something, the sky's the limit. You're only using one team at a time, so you could make those super teams, but it is so flexible. In my in-game account, just the main Sanjita account, I went with Leia, and I didn't even have Drogon or R2. I just took in whatever I had for like a late stage planet where everyone needed to be R8, and I had to platoon a bunch of characters, or maybe it was R7, and I got it done. I had like Cassian in there, I had like Kyle Katarn, I had Baze. She gets it done. She is so flexible, such a tank unto herself, of a leader. Tank in the instance, like, she's a beast. She's amazing. She is technically a tank, but just incredible. The ramping with mastery, it's second only to like Kylo Ren in how much damage output I start to see. I mean, Rey can pop off like that. Lord Vader and JMK will get there eventually, but Leia ramps damage extremely fast. So I think this is an extremely valuable team to have. It's not really getting things done that you don't have done already for assault battles, because by the time you unlock her, you should have all this wrapped up that she'd applied to, which is just military might. But awesome for Conquest, awesome for Galactic Challenges, awesome for Grand Arena. And with a combo of Leia and Jabba, you can take down pretty much any Galactic Legend. So if we had these two, Jabba is great in mirrors. Leia can handle mirrors pretty well if you do it right. Leia can handle Lord Vader. Leia and Jabba can handle Rey. They can both handle Jambal. They can both handle Slicker. They can both handle Sith Eternal. Well, Jabba might have some issues with Sith Eternal, but it's like kind of an impasse. And they both can handle JMK. So if you have these two, you have just, I don't know, you have a massive advantage. You would definitely reach Kyber if you have a decent build-up of other teams, and you have just these two. Even if you're facing people with 4, 5, 6, you can get a lot done. So I just stand by that these are the 2 Galactic Legends you need to go for first. So yeah, that is it for this one. Thanks so much. I tried to put a lot of thought into this. I wanted to wait a long time before I did another iteration of it. I think a year is a great waiting period, and I've had a lot of impact on my point of view from starting this new account. Things are changing in the game. I hope this list helps you. Let me know if you agree, if this is going to help your farming plans. Let me know if you're disappointed in any of the teams I removed. I'd love to hear from you. But thanks so much for watching, and I'll see you in the next one.